Okay, we'll call it 6:30. We'll call the meeting to order. If you're able, stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mike?
Yep. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was here, just in case.
Approve the minutes of April 13th. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from April 13th as written.
I'll second it.
Do you need to adjust?
No adjustments.
Here, citizens. I think everybody's here for one of the items here. Okay. Move on to old business. Discuss recreation director.
So since the budget talks, this has kind of been on the agenda. Last meeting, we started talking about having a new job description, or a job description, because there currently isn't one. It was put back on this month's agenda to kind of continue on with that conversation on the position itself and or the job description. And I believe Stephanie is here as well.
She's over in the corner.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I put out more chairs than usual, and I didn't really expect that I was going to need this many chairs. I did also keep and put in the same job description as we had last month, just for discussion purposes. Any comments or questions? Stephanie, did you want to say anything to just start, or?
I want to get the job done as you want the job done. So I would like to have like clear expectations as to what you're looking for. I feel like we have a pretty good groove on having all the sports done, certain individual activities between sports to keep everyone occupied. I just wasn't sure if you were looking for something different or something more, and I'd love to offer that if you have more to tell me like exactly what you're looking for.
Any comments from the board? What are you looking for?
Well, I think we talked about doing more community events, things that were outside of the school.
Yep.
So that was
We were, Rick and I were planning 4th of July. I have a baseball tournament that I've been doing the last 4 years. That takes up a weekend in July, just as some of the things that are coming up.
You just had opening day, correct?
And yeah, opening day is Ludlow.
That's another thing you could do is talk to, was it Mr. Mealy in Ludlow?
Yeah.
And the Chester rec director, and see if there were things.
We're always talking.
So, a couple of times in the past when the girls were younger, they did things like bus trips up to UVM and Dartmouth and
Dartmouth
watch
hockey,
basketball
one
games or hockey games and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and you can't do that on your own. But if the three of
No,
you
yeah, definitely.
are all choosing to do one at different times, it's kind
Yeah, we do a lot of like various camps together. Sometimes one recreation center will profit as opposed to another one, but if we're doing something, it's usually all together, so we're getting like kids from all the surrounding towns to do it together.
And I think we were looking also to work with some of the groups that are in town doing other things outside of just sports, recreation
Yes,
as a whole.
yes, okay.
And I think what we're looking for was, we had questions about justification for what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And like Shannon said, to have more stuff done for the community, for events, and
Okay.
and more accountability, just so that we know what you're doing. And
Of course, yeah.
it seemed like it was a position that was there, and it was just there because. That's all we
And
knew.
I totally understand, and it's hard when like Grevin's not here. That was such like a meeting place, so you always knew like Grevin Field, like, oh, everyone's at Grevin Field, something's going on. So I know with that being gone, it's a little bit harder, but I will definitely have more justification for it.
So one thing that we could add in this job description as well is just kind of like a monthly report that I could include in the packets to the select board.
That'd be great.
And I've shared this with this tentative job description with Stephanie as well.
Any other comments from the board?
I just want to point out, we are only going to have 57 kids. That's the estimate for this coming year at CTES. We have huge issues in this town with flooding and trying to prepare for this. We have to think long and hard how we're spending $40,000. I was never in favor of a rec director all those years ago, and I think that we need to think long and hard before this gets put back in the budget, because the school, who knows how long it's gonna last. And all of our programs are combined with Logo anyway. Would we be better off paying a fee to Logo to help run those programs for the school? Because we have a whole lot of this, we have a whole lot of organizing. We don't get paid for it. We're not looking to get paid for it. But some money here and there would go a long way to help us do a better job. So I realize there's nothing we can do again this year, even though this was supposed to have been different this year. So I'm just saying, please, really look at all of this before next year.
Do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm also looking for comments from the board on the job description, so I can kind of add to it, rewrite it if need be. I know I'll add the monthly reports to the select board, obviously. We have stuff about programs and, community programs, not just, which includes seasonal sports, music, dance, arts that type of community social events in here. Nothing says one per month, one per quarter. Don't know if we need to get that specific, or if the board wants to be that specific on that. It's hard to really, nail down one per month. But I think the big addition of adding a monthly report to the select board packet will keep the board aware of what's going on and what's upcoming and stuff like that. And, Stephanie and I can continue to plan some events and get it moving. So we kind of know the board's intention even before the job description is done. So.
All right, if we're all good with that, we'll move on to the next article is contractor selection paving, fiscal year 27.
So on April 30th, we had the bids were due, and I had the bid opening that afternoon. This is for paving of Rainy Hill, High Street, and Pleasant. We had 4 bids. We had Basin come in at $271,916. Sunapee Paving at $285,317.10. Pike came in at $281,251, and Fuller was $274,129.60. We anticipated that the bids were going to be closer to $250, which is what we had going into the fund this current year. Paving is, petroleum based, and the bids came a little higher. We're going to have to, if we choose to pick one of these contractors tonight, I'm going to have to do some good oversight to make sure we don't even go over that $271,916 with the cost of paving, and it just might be some small adjustments that would have to be made. Whichever contractor we choose, I will let them know that up front.
Do you have any concerns with any of the contractors?
Nope, all the contractors are good, reputable. Fuller did our, they're the ones that did our paving last year on Depot Street, and Basin did the paving on your road, Whitesville Road. So they're both great, and Basin being low is not a concern to me.
Do you want a motion?
Yep,
Yes.
I'd like a motion to, say which, contractor as well.
I'll make a motion to go with Basin Brothers, the lowest bidder, for $271,916.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? None? Okay,
Putting
that's
some
that.
pavement down.
We'll move on, discussion, possible approval of a new truck.
So it was voted on to allow me to go forward with the, to get the terms of a new truck purchase, since this truck came to light, a few months ago. The same leasing company that we bought the last truck with, their terms are a little lower, 5.99% for 5 years. But I did not have approval to purchase the truck. So that would make, 5 or 4-ish payments at, 5 payments around 60 to 60 or 70,000, 551, 45. These trucks are not cheap. That's $305,000. It is the same company we used for the last purchase, and the truck is the exact twin to that one as well. So now it took us a while to get here. I just hope the truck is still available, which last I knew it was. So,
Any questions? Or what's your pleasure? We talked about it before at other meetings, so.
I'll make a motion to purchase the truck at $305,716.
I'll second that.
Is
Yeah,
that
we
at
definitely
Reed's?
need it.
if that is a lease, they call it a lease, but yes,
That's at Reed's, correct?
the truck is currently.
Yes, I would. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
I did.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Discussion on Play Vermont Towns. Wendy?
Yeah.
Wendy is here.
I can talk loud, so I'll stay over here. David Ferzig of UVM is a pianist who has been going around playing free concerts, trying to get to play to every town in Vermont. He's played in Ludlow, he's played in Springfield and Chester, and a couple of weeks ago in Perkinsville, where I had a chance to meet, listen to him, talk to him, and get really excited about what he was doing, and would like to bring him to Cavendish. I'm not asking for your permission to do this, because I'm not asking for any money. I'm asking just to have a chance to talk a little bit about it and let you know what is planned, and what has to be done. It appears as if we don't have a decent piano in a public space in town. So the first thing I have to do is find a place, someone, or rent a piano. Second thing is to find a public place in town that we can hold the event in. Those are the two main things that have to happen that I'd like input on. I also would like anyone who might be interested in working with me on this project to get in touch with me. The time frame for this is probably a year out. What David does is he researches the community and puts together a program that represents the community. He also invites a musician in the community to participate with him. And so those would be things that whoever wants to get involved with me can work on it. I've spoken to Doug McBride, and he thinks this is a really good project and thinks that the Cavendish Community Fund would be happy to work with me on this. And I've spoken to some other people in town who hopefully at some point will step up to the plate. I wanted to share that with you because I'm hoping this will be a really wonderful community event. I have some information on it, and I'll pass it out to you to pass around.
There are a couple of extras if anyone in the audience would like to grab. And the program is called Play Every Town, and it's on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, we'll move on to 2. Discussion and possible approval of the use of goats at Grevens Field.
So we have talked about this a little bit in the past, over and over. We never really had solid numbers on this, but we do now. The total for having, and I believe, I don't know if Amy, somebody is here to talk on that. I thought they were.
Maybe on Zoom.
Kelly's.
Oh, it might be on Zoom. Okay, I
Kelly's
see
on Zoom.
Kelly too. as
Yep,
well.
and Amy's here as well.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah. But yeah, the total bill is would be $4,884, which is a one-time visit, grazing around 6 acres, which would basically be this area here. Not necessarily, this will be mowed, but you know, the outer area of Greven. But of that,
And the goats know not to go over there.
they should Amy will actually probably speak on that a little bit, but yes, they have a way of keeping them right where they want them, because we do have neighboring properties there as well.
That was my next.
But the total from the town would be $1,600 of this. There'd be some donated, there'd be some possible local grants and stuff like that. So, and after the flood of 23, we did receive some money to redo Greven Field as well. There's a little over $5,000, I believe, in there. I can let them speak on that, but I guess it's the board whether they decide that that's well spent money of $1,600.
So just really quickly, this is Kelly with Black River Action Team. Thank you guys for having us tonight. The goat grazing is one tool in the toolbox and is one part of the much larger long-term picture for Greven as a community resource, but also as a functioning small floodplain for storage of floodwaters. So the goat grazing would be, according to Amy's timeline and how she does this, there would be some community involvement. We'd love to try to put together, probably work with Margot on a community work day in there to support and supplement what the goats are doing. And then there would be follow-up as well after the goats are gone, going back in and continuing to manage the knotweed, but planting very heavily of native species that can help shade out and fight for resources against the knotweed to some extent. It's going to be an ongoing conversation with the knotweed, but there would also be incorporating the knotweed management around the planned walking path around the perimeter. So I can let Amy speak more details, unless you guys just want to just do questions in particular, or let Amy talk a little bit.
I think Amy could talk.
No, let Amy.
Yeah, let us know.
You want
Yes, Amy
to
can
give a
talk.
little overview of the timeline?
So the overview of the timeline is we were hoping to be in there while the Cavendish elementary kids were still in school, so they could participate as part of a science project. So we were hoping, I believe we talked about the second week in June, but I'm pretty flexible if we want to move in the first week. But like, as I said, we'd really like to involve the elementary school kids and the community as part of this. So, sorry, I have a 3-year-old. Hold on, honey. And then as far as keeping the goats contained, there's 2 ways that we keep the goats contained. I know that you brought up a question about that. One thing we do is put up an electric perimeter fence to contain the goats. And then we also use virtual GPS fencing technology, which is a pretty new technology in the US. And that allows us to pinpoint the goats and monitor them and not have to stay on site with them, 24 hours a day. So there's kind of 2 pieces about keeping the goats contained. So,
Hey, Amy,
yes.
if the elementary school gets involved, you talk to the principal and they get involved. Is there concern about the kids' safety with the goats?
No, I have no concern. My
Okay.
2-year-old is in the barn with 175 goats every day.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I also have a commercial liability policy, which covers up to $2 million, which I would send a certificate of insurance to the town for that. The kids wouldn't be directly into the goats. There are some smaller goats that I would, bring out, but it's more to monitor, the progress of the project and make observations and that sort of thing.
All right, great, thanks.
Any other questions from the board?
So somebody would monitor the goats occasionally, you said?
I'm on site at least once a day, if not twice a day. And we also put up cell-powered game cameras to monitor the site as well.
And do they need any type of shelter at all?
They don't need shelter.
Brendan has his hand up too, I see.
Any other?
Brendan has a question.
Brendan?
On Zoom.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, great. Hi. Chief, good to see you back in your seat. Glad to see that. I wanted to briefly, as someone obviously who's been through some of the flood recovery, I just wanted to briefly, I didn't intend on saying anything, but briefly, applaud the board and Rick for, and Amy and Kelly. This is some out of the box thinking for flood recovery, and is something that you need to do, whether you approve it or not. Again, that's besides the fact. It's nice to see the board and the town manager and those involved supporting something that is not brick and mortar. Let's dredge the rivers, like things that are, Grevenfield is passionate and is a spot for all of us. And this is, it's a difficult subject, we all know, but this is some positive, out of the box thinking. So thank all of you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, all you board members for going down that road. If you do approve this, I would like to see Mike Ripley appointed the shepherd of the herd. So if you do move forward with that, please consider that. Thank you. Have a great night.
I know where you live.
We'll see you down at Greven, Mike.
Yep, they're going to be part of it.
I would like to add, this isn't something that we just thought about overnight. This is my full-time job. I've been doing this for 5 years and raising goats for 25, and we've been grazing a lot of knotweed these past several years, so it's not just me bringing the goats off the farm. This is my full-time business. So
We appreciate that you allow us to let them use them.
I do have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I know we had talked about before that we really needed 3 years of twice a year. I'm just kind of curious on what your thought is on how effective the one time is going to be for the knotweed, or in general, I guess.
I don't know if Kelly wants to talk about it or if you want me to talk about it.
I think from my perspective, the goat grazing is one part of the management approach, and the management approach is going to be ongoing. We're just going to keep at it. You wouldn't weed your garden once and call it good. So the thinking on this, from my perspective, is the goat grazing goes in, we get a lot of public attention on the issue. We get people who might be interested in helping us do community days of, if the goats are done in June, we come back in October after whatever's left of knotweed has flowered, and we do some cutting. Maybe Tim Calabrese shows up with that cool tool he's got, that backpack bladed trimmer, and we do some more serious management. It's ongoing, but as we manage and cut and manage and cut and manage and cut, we also plant. We add willow stakes to the bank. We add dogwood stakes to the bank, maybe where the goats aren't really going to go too much. And then we plant more native species, not only in the field area, around the perimeter of the field area, but also encroaching against the knotweed toward the perimeter of the park. So it's an ongoing. It's one piece of the large solution puzzle. Is my feeling on that. Amy, did you want to throw something in there?
Yeah, I'd also like to mention, we're in the process. A big part of what I do is we're doing a ton of research, and we have a whole team of us right now with UVM, and we are applying for a big grant through NRCS to conduct some serious knotweed research over the next few years. And I'd like to, if this is an area that we want to study, there might be some funds within this grant that we're applying for to use this in the future as a research site, if the town would be on board with that. And that would cover the cost of us grazing it, more than once over the next several years. So I just want to put that in there too, without any additional costs. Now, hold on, sweetheart.
Excellent.
That's pretty cool, because there's also, and Amy and I have been talking back and forth about other research venues, whether it be Antioch University, Norwich University, UVM, Dartmouth. I'm making inroads with all of them, making contacts with all of them, and as there is more research happening around the effectiveness of goats against knotweed, coupled with other non-herbicide approaches for managing and replanting, I think there can be not just more interest in it, but more help with it and more resources financially. We can get some more grant money to help manage this and study it, and maybe become a little bit I don't want to say famous for our knotweed, but for our non-chemical approach to it.
Oh, really?
Kelly, I think it's important that we really there are a lot of people here that know nothing about this project. So it's a good opportunity to say, ever since the flood, our school kids have been in there working. It's under the Cavendish Historical Society's Preserve and Serve, where we really teach stewardship to our kids, that they are going to be that next generation that needs to take care of the town. They have worked in there every year since. They clear out debris, and more importantly, they and the Dartmouth students have pulled out a ton of knotweed, and that actually is held up, but it's very, very labor intensive. And this year they did a great job in the fall. They're going to be back. And the best part about all of that, they come to Honey Festival in the fall, and they know that what they're doing protects the bees for beekeepers like you, Rick, because we're not using any pesticides. That's a biggie for you kids. So it all,
Yep.
so you know where some of the money that I get from the town goes? It comes right back to the town.
Thank you, ladies.
Yep, any other comments from the board? If not, we're all done. Thank you.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Oh, yes, we got to approve.
Thank you.
What is your pleasure on approve or disapprove?
What do you want to approve, the 1,600?
Yep, that was the number I got, was 1,600, yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the goat vegetation control on Grevin Field for $1,600.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? None?
Have a townwide goat party.
That's what we want to do.
It will be an educational event.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll
Thank
move
you
on
so
to
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
we'll move
Have a
on to
great
3,
night.
discussion on ATV use on town roads.
So at last month's meeting, this was, brought up, and we, under public comment, and this month it is here loud and proud on the agenda to discuss. And I think everybody here kind of wants to discuss. Is my feeling. So basically, the discussion last month was whether or not to move, for this meeting, was whether or not to move forward with even.
Could you speak a little louder? You're
Yep.
not hearing.
So last month, it was decided to put it on the agenda to kind of, whether or not the town even wanted to move forward with looking into or going through the work with ordinances and stuff like that on the ATVs. So that's basically where we're at now.
So, first off, I want to say thank you for everybody showing up tonight. My name's Jeff Gilchrist. One of the things that we had discussed and I had forwarded that you guys have in some packets is some information on some ordinances that other towns have used. There's actually 14 of them in the state of Vermont that have added an ordinance to allow it in their towns. I also have some information that I wanted to go over and then would be open for some discussion afterwards, as well as I know plenty of people that probably have one opportunity to talk. So my first thing is a proposal to provide controlled and legal connector access between trails, businesses, fuel station, lodging, and services. Support local economy, develop tourism, reduce illegal road use and trespassing, and create structure and enforce a system of ATV and UTV operations. Economic benefits, increase tourism related spending in local businesses, support restaurants, lodging, campgrounds, convenience stores, repair services. Extend tourism activity in our shouldered seasons. Strengthen rural economic activity and small business stability. Encourage visitors to stop in our village centers rather than just passing by our community on their way to get to the ride. Recommended road and access structure. Limit ATV use and operation in designated town roads. Restrict access roads and lower speeds, typically 25 miles an hour or 35. Usually it's 25. Allow operation to get to trail service connectors for the purpose of considered seasonal or daylight only operations, install signage identifying approved routes and the regulations. Safety recommendations require all vehicles to be properly registered, require proof of insurance where applicable, require valid driver's license for operation on public roads, enforce helmet rules, require functioning headlights, taillights, and such mufflers. Establish low operation speeds and posted vehicle speeds where approved. Prohibit reckless operation under the influence. Additional concerns. Noise enforcement mufflers must meet the restriction measurements for the sound. Roads, any damage, weight significant, less. Also, commercial traffic can be reduced during certain seasons, such as mud season, when the roads are not permittable. Safety controlled access improves rider compliance and predictability on riding. Enforcement clearly designated routes, making enforcement easier for local authorities. Pilot program recommendations. Implementing this is a 1-year program with review to complaints, incidents, and economic impact annually. Allow route adjustments or modifications based on community feedback. Reserve the option to discontinue the program if necessary. And then, work with our local clubs. I've got a couple representatives, myself being one, and my son being the other, of the local Reading all-terrain sportsman. I'm the vice president. He's actually the trail master. There's also attached some signage that's used in other towns that what they use as you come into their towns or exit their towns, so you know where you can and can't ride.
Any questions from the board?
So this is just for trail access, it's not people just driving to and from up and down the roads, correct?
No, it's to be able to get to the connector trails, to be able to ride to the trail. Everybody now is literally loading their stuff, putting it on a trailer to be able to go ride. One, that's doubling our carbon footprint. And it's also, it already happens now, but it's illegal. And it's been happening for a very long time. And I know, Bob, you can attest to it. Every time our town floods, what we use to get around.
ATVs,
So,
four-wheelers.
It happens now. The last meeting I sat here and 2 guys on 4-wheelers went down through. Rick, we turned a blind eye to this for a very long time because unless they're hurting someone, then we don't do something about it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that have these, as you can see by some of the turnout, that it's something that's wanted.
A lot of these cases, these vehicles are in better shape than some of the cars that are road. No joke. We're talking, side by side.
One at a time here.
Just 30,000 or more, and you've got vehicles that $1,500 that shouldn't be on the road. So,
if you want to say something, just please raise your hand so we can try to keep it somewhat organized here so everybody has a chance to speak.
can I ask you a question first? So, VASA, which is the Vermont, it's the ATV version of VAST,
Correct.
basically, has rules and regulations.
So in that ordinance that was sent out, those are from the VASA ruling and is used, that one actually came from the town of Brighton, which is otherwise known as everybody else, the Island Pond community. They even allow golf carts because it's a way of life. We live in the valleys and that's how you get around. So.
And those requirements are registration, insurance, so they know.
Absolutely.
Your clubs know who you are.
And on the very back of the page that I handed out is actually a submission form, rough idea to be able to apply for a permit, to give you the information that will be listed on there, so the town knows who's going to be riding that rig, is their name, their email address, their mailing address, a VIN number of the vehicle, the make, the color, the registration plate. If you register in a different outside of state, you have to have that registration information. Your VASA Trail Pass info, driver's license, insurance carrier, and policy number. The date that it's in effect, the way I said it in this was starting on May 15th, ending in May 15th, because that's when the clubs normally run open to close, or VASA organizations. And then the fee to charge such money, I said a $20 fee just out of the box, but I mean, it doesn't even have to be that, or it could be more. But then this way we have accountability because you know who it is that's riding.
Just real quick, because you mentioned an ordinance that was given to the select board. That is not a town of Cavendish ordinance. It's already been written or been talked about. It was basically for informational from another town. So it's not town of Cavendish ordinance. I just want to make sure that we knew that. So.
Wendy?
Yeah, just as a query, what is meant by trails that you want to have go through? Is it going to be on roads? Is it going to be on
It would be our town.
snowmobile roads? What do you mean?
It would be on our town roads to get to the trail access.
And what is the trails that you're going to be using?
In Reading, to get to our Reading trails, and as we can get more towns to open up like they've done in the Northeast Kingdom. For the last 10 years, I've traveled north to be able to go ride my side-by-side, to be able to go somewhere instead of just riding someone's backyard. What I'm working to try to do, and I will probably succeed in being the club president as of Wednesday for the Reading's club, is to extend this to larger areas so we can actually be able to create a tourism to be able to travel from town to town on trail systems using roads and other paths to get from A to B that are allowable to pass on.
And then what are the town roads that you want to be on?
It would be starting down by the Tarbell Hill and ending at Cavendish Point, being able to cross the road as VAST does now, crossing the main highway coming from Chester going into Ludlow, not running down it, but across it so you could get from A to B, was what we were trying to look at. So this way it gives everybody in town access to be able to get to the network.
Yes, sir.
We addressed this in 2022 at a meeting, and it was overwhelmingly against it by Cavendish town residents. And I just wondered where things stood. Are all these people here from Cavendish or not?
Yes.
Everybody here is
Yes.
from Cavendish?
Yep.
Many of us didn't know about it last time.
3/4 of the town
Yeah, we didn't know
basically
about it
right
last
there.
time. And perhaps residents don't know about it this time, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But perhaps residents don't know about it this time, because this does not sound like to me anything that is going to be favorable or fair to people who live on these roads.
I have a question.
We already have them going by, and every time they go by, you know it's an ATV because it is so loud
I have a question.
and fast.
If we allow this,
Yes, sir.
all these complaints, they'll go away?
So,
Stop.
I think they'll be more manageable because then if there's a complaint, you have a make, model, color, or a pass permit of the information.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not done. This is a select board meeting. You guys are just allowed to watch, basically. You can participate in a minute. Before I even consider something like this, you guys would have to drop a map like the Bash people do and show us where exactly on a town map that you'd want to cross and where you wouldn't want to cross, because that's what these people want to know. Where? So that when it does happen, they can call the sheriff, which somebody wrote that they called the state police. Don't call the state police, call the sheriff. Or call Rick here at the town office, and he'll arrange to have the sheriff sitting in places. But the VAS comes to us every year and says, here's the streets and here's the places where we would like to be able to cross so that we can go from one end of the state to the other. Okay. So I'd at least want that before I even considered any of this. And I think it would help quell some of this. Okay.
Okay, sir, up back. You be next. Me.
No, I'm good.
I
want to know who's going to police this. Right now, we had this, my partner said in 2022, we had a meeting like this. And the problem we have right now is there are a lot of rogue ATV users that are on our road that are going way above 25 miles an hour. I have stopped a couple of these people, and they didn't know that it was illegal to do it. If it were legal, which is what you want, how are you going to ride herd on your members who are going over speed, the speed limit, using a machine that's loud? How are you going to police that? We don't even have a policeman in this town to do any of our work. We've had to call the state police, and they say there's nothing we can do unless we're right there to catch these people doing it. And granted, I understand you'll be doing it responsibly, but there are a lot of people out there that are not responsible, and they're going to take advantage of this. And
Right.
that's what I'm upset about.
But if we don't try to control it, they're gonna do it anyways.
If you get a registration number, you stop them out on the.
But who's gonna stop it?
Can't have a mini meeting within.
One
You guys
person
have
at
to
a time.
talk to us, not to each other. You have to talk to us, not to each other.
I have talked, I have
Right,
called.
so I'm saying, don't ask him questions.
Oh,
Let
oh,
us know
talk to-
your
well, you didn't say
concerns.
that.
You have to talk to us,
Yeah,
not
well,
to
that's
each
what I'm
other.
concerned about.
Okay.
Is who's going to police this?
All right.
The town, the club?
Second up.
I don't know.
Okay, Mary,
Yeah.
you're up. Bob, you're next.
I actually live and I own a tourist-based business. I own the cabins up next to Nat Pond. And I think, for someone like myself who's trying to increase business and always bring on more like tourists and bring more business to the town, which my business, my guests frequent the local Cavendish businesses. We promote them heavily. So if it gives me more tools to bring in more guests, then that's a good thing. And I believe the people that belong to a club or people that were guests, they're given rules and so forth up front. They're not the random person that's out there speeding down the road. And I believe if it were posted and information were given, then you've got a better chance of people following a rule and following guidelines than just taking off and being teenagers or whatever riding somebody's ATV. You'll probably always have that in any town, but if you've got a program, you've got a better chance of compliance. And for someone, again, who runs a business here that's based on tourism, I think it's a great opportunity to bring more to Cavendish.
Let me ask another question real quick. Anybody here have a complaint about the snowmobiles when we allow the people to use? Okay. So that's less
No,
than.
may I say what mine, I don't presently have a complaint, but when I moved here, I live on Brook Road, you know where I live, the old Teeman place, whatever. I'm 20 feet off the road. It's a wonderful property. It was very much impacted by the snowmobiles who were going in gangs, crossing my property, gangs. at night at 1 o'clock in the morning over and over. So I came to the town and I said, people told me, like, you just say you don't want it. Plenty of people say they don't want the snowmobiles. Well, when I said I didn't want the snowmobiles, I was the most unpopular person. And even my husband told me, don't do it, like, whatever. But, I was like waking up, like jumping up in bed. And so we came and Richard Svek, we had a meeting and he established that, slower speeds, and you cannot go after, I think what is it, 10 o'clock at night?
11 o'clock.
I think it was 10 back then, but it, it really helped a lot. But I was surprised that as a resident, people always say, well, don't tell me what to do on my property, and whatever like that, but this was my property, but I had to allow gangs. Like, why don't we have motorcycle gangs cross our property at night, or whatever. So this seems to me something that, there are going to be different sides. People who want more tourism, especially who are involved in tourist businesses that their living is going to benefit, as opposed to me, who I would like the sanctity of my home and not to have it. Right now, there's random people going by, but it's not really a problem for me. But I definitely feel that if it becomes a club and all this and tourism, what about residents? Residents are important too, and we will always have this dichotomy, so who knows?
Bob, you're up.
Oh, I just had a comment about if this came forward, it's going to allow for more people to just kind of be reckless, and I would kind of disagree with that. The people that are being reckless are already doing it right now. They're going to do it regardless of some rule. What we're asking for is law-abiding citizens who also live here and not necessarily into the ski resort industry that is overtaking this area. We're looking for outlets too. And that's really what this comes down to is we're looking for a legal way to us or for us to enjoy our lives here as well. I apologize for people with the loud noise and stuff, but I mean, motorcycles, 18-wheelers, they go up and down these roads all the time, and it's kind of the way of the world. I don't think you're going to find more reckless people. I think you're going to find more responsible people. The ones that are being reckless are going to continue to do it anyway. They're already doing it now, without helmets, riding wheelies down the main street. That's not the kind of activity that you're going to see from these people here.
You guys,
So,
you're next.
for starters, my wife and I, we've been riding for 10 years, and we actually trailer into New Hampshire to ride because they're more accepting of us. There's places to go, there's places to eat, we can fill up with fuel, and there's a lot of people that share in that. We also live on 20 Mile Stream, so to say the ATVs are somehow going to be driving reckless and fast, you guys should come to our house and watch the cars drive by at 60, 70 miles an hour multiple times a day, burnouts, loud whatevers. The ATV community is not that. Like Bob was saying, yeah, you're going to have the rogue kids that are going to do kid stuff, but there's no way to stop that. They're going to do kid stuff regardless. We were all kids once, and we all did stupid stuff ourselves. Well, not me, but so, the point is that, again, my wife and I, we enjoy riding. It'd be nice to be able to get over to Reading trails and ride and have some way to, make some type of loop, enjoy the day, hopefully visit a place. It'd be great where we can get gas, a place to eat. Up in New Hampshire and Colebrook and Pittsburgh, you go in there and there's just families who are just enjoying riding and enjoying the day. And again, the rogue person who's making a ruckus, well, that rogue person also drives a car past our house at 70 miles an hour. So, we can't punish a community because there's going to be some guy on an ATV who's going to speed or do something dumb when most of us are going to be, appreciative and respectful of which is, I think, what the point is of this meeting, so.
Amy?
I'd actually like to offer a slightly different perspective on the concerns about the rogue riders. Yeah, they're gonna do it anyways. But if you now have a club and you have a group of community and like-minded people that are now out using these trails on a regular basis, you've got more eyes on those trails. And you've got people that are gonna be more than happy to protect the sanctity of that privilege by reporting the ones that are abusing it. And you tend to create a more naturally, internally policing environment. It may actually help to cut down on the people that are abusing the roads and the trails. Secondly, I live on a dirt road here in town. I am backed right up to the Vast Trail. People ride past my house on the dirt road to access the Vast Trail. It comes into both ends. And we've been here 20 years. Sometimes if you go through at night, we have never had a problem in those 20 years. And just want to put out there, we've never had a problem with gangs of snowmobile riders. I don't think we're gonna have a problem with gangs of ATV riders either. So.
All right. Go ahead, you.
I'm just going to say almost the same thing. Years ago, I belonged to an off-road club, and it was Tread Lightly. And they're riders that tried to get on trails, be able to cross roads, to get to trails, use roads. And the club, the groups, the different people that want to come in, that want to do this legally, have a higher tendency to police their own and police others because they understand it's a privilege and they don't want it ruined for them. They don't want somebody tearing up roads or racing up and down them because it makes them all look bad. And that's when you get the gangs of them. And as a motorcycle rider, I don't like other motorcycle riders doing dumb stuff. You police your own because you don't want that image and you want to be good neighbors. So I think it's good to have the ordinances in place and be able to police them like that, where others are going to say, hey, don't be stupid.
All right, sir, you had your hand up for a while.
Not that great at talking. My name is Mark Fitzgerald. I own Fitzgerald's Automotive and Power Sport right down on Whitesville Road. Kind of to touch base, one thing, like I think it was Bob said, about like the $1,500 cars in mud season is like a lot of these ATVs, you have to Google it, but they weigh roughly, let's say 800 to 1,500 pounds. So respectfully, if they were traveling these dirt roads, they actually put a lot less wear on the roads compared to your 10,000 pound trucks going up and down every day. Now I understand we're not saying to use them just for pleasure. The other thing, kind of drawing a blank here. The other thing I was going to draw to that is like kind of like I think Gilly said, not say spend money, but if you were to charge like a registration fee, some of that money could go towards helping, maintain the roads and things like that. The other thing, like other people have touched on, is if we had the privilege, if we had the privilege and I saw someone drive by our shop at 70 miles an hour, I would be upset because you're gonna ruin it for everyone. So kind of touching base on that, like we wouldn't agree with that. We wouldn't want people to do that. We want people to be respectful. And kind of like I think the lady said that has an Airbnb, like bringing business to the town. Like I own a power sports shop. I sell oil, I sell fluids. There's other people here that also have shops that sell stuff. So I do think it would be a good help for the town. The last thing is I understand, like, I'm not gonna let my 5-year-old ride ATV by himself, but I think it helps get people outside and see nature. And, you know, we live in a small town. I think it would direct people, and instead of like going and doing things you're not supposed to do. There's more things I could touch on, but I'm kind of drawing a blank as I talk. But I do think the last thing I'll say is you are always going to have those bad apples. And I might have already said this, but I think that's where the whole like registration and fees would come in, because, you know, if I'm registered and I drive by someone's house at 70 miles an hour, yes, they have to get my plate. But my point is, like, they would know that's me, then they would come to the town or call the sheriff and complain, and then that person could get their, you know, registration revoked, pay a fee. I don't know the answer to that question. Last thing I'll say is I could be mistaken for saying this, but I think there's a lot of residents where if this was to ever go forward, we'd be more than happy to help, like, donate and pitch in for the costs of signage and things like that. I think it could be good for the community, but I think like anything, it needs work. Like, you need everyone to be on the same page. But for the second.
Go ahead, Wayne.
As a businessman and a lifelong resident of this town, I own 400 acres of land. They're all around here. They're in Cavendish, they're in Proctorsville. It would help me better access my property. I would also donate some of my property to make some of these trails, to make connectors, which need to go from the end by the winery down through. I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
Just a second, Wendy.
Just that Vermont is a tourist state. That's how we make our living, by the people that come in. So that's all I want to say.
I have one more thing to touch on. I'm sorry, but kind of like the VAS and the snowmobilers. Like, I don't know everyone's name, but like someone said, if like we're on all these different pages of snowmobilers, and when you do get those people that tear up people's lawns, fields, you know, or driving erratically, it makes other snowmobilers actually upset. Like, we don't cheer them on, like, good job. Like, it makes us upset because even with VAST, in my opinion, it is a privilege. These people donate their land, their property to be able to be ridden on. So I can see how, like, going back, I can see how it would, you know, some of the people in here, if we found out that so-and-so was tearing up the roads at 3 a.m. and driving erratically and ran over someone's mailbox, we're gonna be upset, because then we understand the next time they come in here, it could all be taken away. Just another kind of thing to touch base on. But
Wendy?
Yeah, I'm listening to everything, and I'm trying to be very impartial. And what I'm hearing is, going back 50, 60 years, the same conversations were probably had by the snowmobilers, who didn't have any regulations, and people were concerned that snowmobiles were riding on their fields, on their property, making noise. We had to put up signs that said no snowmobiles allowed. And it seems to me that what these folks are trying to do is establish a summertime regulation that's very similar to the snowmobiles. And it works for the snowmobiles. It took a while, but it worked for the snowmobiles. And it seems like people here are trying to be really responsible about trying to set up criteria to make it work for them. Comment, that's all.
Just one last thing. When they talked about getting registration and license plates to be able to report them, when somebody's driving by at 25, 35 miles an hour, how are you supposed to get their license plate number? And who is responsible? We don't have a policeman in town, we have a part-time sheriff, so who is going to take care of the complaints? I mean, nobody's taking care of them now. The state patrol said that they can't possibly come, and there's nothing they can do because they can't find them. I mean, they're gone. I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying the trouble we've had.
Yeah, you've had your hand up a while.
I wanted to answer on what Mrs. Greer was talking about. VAS has been an organization in place for 25 years. I've been a member of VAST, so old enough, 12 years old, I think, is when I got my safety from Woody. With that being said, I worked with Dennis Allen hand in hand from the word go with many other people. We are doing exactly what she's talking about. VASA is a well-known organization that's trying to make this happen across our state. It's not something that's new, it's just coming about it the right way.
Okay, yes.
Yes, thank you. I find it interesting that we're just focusing on the one negative or the person or drivers, the few that might speed, instead of the community that's showed up here, who are residents here, who want the privilege. But we're just focusing on the bad person that's gonna speed, so we're gonna not give the rights to all of the law-abiding citizens of this town who live here. It seems silly to me that we would say, no, we're not doing that because of some, maybe a bad apple. You're just assuming there's gonna be all these bad apples instead of all of the responsible drivers, all of the responsible riders. And I find it interesting that we're always say that we're a community. That's what it is. It's a community of riders. And it's people who love to go out and enjoy Vermont. It's not just speed demons out on the trail. It's actually people who go out and responsibly ride, who responsibly love to look at nature, just like a skier or maybe a snowmobile. I don't know why we focus on singling out the 4x4 riders. We don't single out motorcycles, we don't single out snowmobilers or any other vehicle. It's just the ATV, which I think goes the slowest of all of them, not the fastest. So I'm surprised that anyone would deny the residents within the town to ride in their town peacefully.
Since we've been on this for a while, we're going to cut it to, if you've spoken twice, you won't be given a third time to speak, because we could be here until midnight. You spoke once.
I believe I spoke only once. I just want to say.
Anybody on Zoom?
Yeah, I would like to
Very
speak.
quickly.
Yes, one.
I'm not afraid
No.
Oh,
He's on Zoom.
Oh.
On Zoom?
Hi. Yeah, can I speak on Zoom?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Sal Campbell Franco. I have a home on Atkinson Road. So I don't think anybody should take affront to the open discussion that we're having here. I think there's a bigger picture that the town needs to consider in granting this. Okay, and this has been proposed before. I don't think anybody's opposed to, community and recreation, etc. I think what the issue is that you're talking about opening, if I understand this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about opening all the town roads to ATV traffic, okay, and passing. Is that what's proposed, or is it one particular road to get to a trail already?
No, Sal.
Is it going to be?
Sal, it would be like the vast trails with the snowmobiles. They would draw out a map to show us exactly where they would want to cross to get from one trail to the other, or what road they would need to travel down. So before we approve it, we would want to see that map.
Right. The map should be, I understand it, right. The map needs to be put up because you don't want to open Pandora's box. We don't want tourists parking on 131 with ATV trailers and coming up our roads where our houses are located out of a sense of more tourism and more community, okay? We don't want ATVs just, what Cavendish has right now, and then some of you may and may not agree, is it's a very quiet town, very bucolic. There's not a lot of towns in Vermont that are like that. So I understand tourism, I understand skiing and snowmobiling. What I would not be for in any way is open access to dirt roads in the town of Cavendish by ATVs, even if there's speed limits, even if there's registration, insurance, etc. To me, that would be stepping into an area that we couldn't possibly enforce it. And you guys may be very conscientious members of the clubs that are sitting in that room, but there's people coming up from Long Island that may be members of yours. There's people coming over from Massachusetts that may be a member of your club. They don't have a pride of ownership of Cavendish. they wanna come and recreate and drive them around. And if they end up driving on the roads holistically through Cavendish, that's not gonna be what the town is about. That's gonna be very disruptive to all of us as homeowners and as a community. So if somebody would come with a map, then maybe you could have the discussion that says we need access to these 5 roads that cross from A to B and C to D, but there's no map here in the room.
Right, that's what we said. We're not gonna even consider voting for it until we see a map.
Right. Yeah, because it's not, we have no way of enforcement. There's no sheriff, and I don't want to be putting cameras out on the roads to try and catch plates off of ATVs that are not minding the regulations and the rules that your club puts forth. Okay, so if it's limited areas where they're crossing to get access, okay, then I can understand that. But if it's holistic access to drive around the roads of Cavendish on an ATV, I think that's a road that we really don't want to go down as a town and a community.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So-
Dave?
I'm in full support of ATV use on the town highways, as long as, like this man said, we have a list of town highways that we need to open up. And as long as we have some good ordinances that are well structured, like Jeff has talked about and shown us some, that state that somebody has to be registered, insured, has to have an operator's license. And you're gonna have those people that don't care, like everybody has said. They're gonna do what they want anyways, like what you're doing right now. So I think it's only a positive to open up some town highways. I myself personally had an ATV, and I got rid of it a couple of years ago, because there's no place to ride around here. And people need to have that option.
Just so the rest of the board knows, I stepped outside to see who was outside, and there's at least 20 to 30 people out there, and I asked if anybody wanted to speak against the possibility of an ordinance, and nobody did. They're all out there in support.
Amy?
But 3 years ago,
Ma'am,
everybody said,
ma'am, it's not your
you
turn.
just don't like it.
Amy.
No,
No,
it's not your
we're trying to
turn.
keep control
I do
here.
feel.
According to Robert's rules, you get to speak twice on any,
I didn't think I did.
so.
So another, so again, I am also hugely in support of this. I think Jeff would do a great job. He's done a great job so far presenting us with all the necessary information, ordinances, and examples. Another thought to this is Jeff Senior here, you know, offering his land and trail access across there. That's how Vast itself grew, in little bits and pieces by people taking a chance and allowing it and watching it grow and become a positive thing for the state. We do live off of tourism. We also live off of hunting, which is another part of our tourism. People can ski, they can hike, they can do all these things. There are people who can't do that, but they can, with their disability, sit in an ATV and get outside. They can access hunting areas. They can go out and recreate with their family. I know a couple of people personally that it's really the only sport that they can do. And they have very nice side-by-sides, probably worth more than my car or truck. And it allows them to get out with their kids and their family. Or maybe they have a disabled child who can't